Cubby blue blood flowing through our veins. Sitting in the bleachers in the rain. We've shed a million tears and drank as many old style beers out at the game. Let's go, Cubby, Son Ranto.
With Michael.
Son Ranto.
And Crawley.
Son Ranto and the lovable loser. Son Ranto.
With Michael.
Son Ranto.
And Crawley.
Son Ranto and the lovable losers. Son Ranto.
Man, you sounded like a motorcycle revving up, Michael.
I did. I don't know where that came from.
Hey, welcome to the Son Ranto Show. My name is Danny Rocket. We have
creepy crawlies hiding under rocks and creepy crawlies living in a tree.
And of course we have
old times they are not forgotten.
And me. I'm the only one with a good song.
I know you have like this cool song and stuff.
I know. At least I sped it up to make him sound like a chipmunk. But
yeah, but I'm glad you said that because it just fucking dawned on me. I can get high after this show because I haven't been drinking and it's really driving me. I'm like, I've got weed around here somewhere. I'm not sure where. I'll find it. It's in the house.
I was at your house this summer, so I'm pretty sure I shed it just straight off of my body. So welcome to the Son Ranto Show. It's weird. There's no Cubs news. There's some Cubs news. There's lots of MLB news, but it's not really news. So anyway, we have a lot of things to talk about, but they're all pretty inconsequential. So we're gonna. But I wanted to say thanks to all our Patreon patrons for making the show happen. You should subscribe if you don't already at patreon.com/sonranto. And I wanted to say this: the last episode, audio wise, was a little wonky. I downloaded it from StreamYard where we're streaming the show right now. It came in a little wonky. People told me it was wonky. Nothing I could do about it. Sorry about that. Hopefully this week it will work. Also, I know we said we're doing Thursdays and today is Wednesday, but it worked better to do Wednesday. Put your bum band's rehearsing tomorrow. And next week is Thanksgiving. So we're going to do Wednesday again. Do like a Thanksgiving what we're thankful for show, I guess. I don't know.
That's always the big party night anyway, right? That's like when the college kids come home and they go and they get all fucked up. So like all of us olds, like we don't have to work the next day or do any of that shit. We just have to be functional enough to put a turkey in the oven.
Yeah. And I don't even have to do that. I'm going to my mom's apartment place and they're having dinner, so we're going to have it served to us. It's awesome. It's the best Thanksgiving I could imagine.
Yeah, so join us.
Go to a restaurant. Yeah, so yeah, join us. All right, let's get into some Cubs shit here. Jed Hoyer on Bernstein and Rahimi today, and pretty much saying what he's been saying. I could read the quote here. He talked about the Braves. He said, we just saw sort of the value of getting in the tournament, meaning playoffs. I think Atlanta was widely thought to be the lowest odds, probably the worst odds of any team in the National League that made the playoffs, blah, blah, blah. Then they won the World Series. I think the goal is to get in, and I think that's the goal every single year. I think we have to try to build a team that can be competitive and can do that. And listen, the NL Central, they're not winning any beauty contests right now. You know what I mean? Like, they don't have a lot going on. The Brewers just lost Manny Pena. Not that that's the hugest deal in the world, but he was their catcher. The Cubs, they haven't done too much. You got the Miley. I mean, is this him lowering our expectations? He goes on to lower them further, but I mean, do you feel like all the news coming out of the front office is to lower our expectations of any of these free agents, especially the qualifying offer ones, are not going to be in a Cubs uniform next year?
Oh yeah. Yeah. And not only that, it's part of the whole, let's expand the playoffs. You know, it's that narrative as well. It's like, oh, you see the value of just getting in the tournament and all this stuff. And I have to disagree, motherfucker. Like, yeah, Atlanta won their division. I would say that the Cardinals and what was the other wild card team?
The Giants.
The Giants.
Oh, no, the Dodgers. The Dodgers.
Oh, the Dodgers. Yeah. Right. Dodgers were super high. I don't know. I at no point thought the Cardinals had a chance in hell of winning the World Series. I don't know. What about you, Crawley? Do you take what he said for real, or did were the Cardinals really better than Atlanta here?
He kept bringing up the term tournament, which I don't know why he wouldn't just say playoffs, but
because they're trying to make October Madness happen with 32 teams in the fucking thing.
I mean, this has been, Jed and Theo previously were consistent on this, is get in the playoffs and roll the dice. Everything you can for the most part, have a general understanding of how good a team is, throughout the year. But then it is true. Once you get to the playoffs, you toss out the record. All of a sudden the Cardinals got really hot, and you did worry about that Cardinal Devil magic coming in where Newt, whatever his name is, Newt Nunbar, all of a sudden hits a grand slam or something to win the goddamn World Series. So here's the thing. If you're not in it, you have no chance. If you're in it, you may have a chance, and that's about as simple as you can put that.
That's the argument for expanding it to, 4 more teams or whatever, so that, losing record teams can get into the tournament.
And we talked about how that's going to how that would hurt the regular season.
Right. Yeah, and it would, because it makes the winning the division worth less. Corey Furlong writes in, let's shoot a bit higher there, Jed. And he's not. I mean, because he said, now the honest question is, are we at a place like the Dodgers might be right now, where I think they're fine-tuning a World Series roster? And he says, no, we're probably not there yet. Now, the Dodgers, they go out, they lose Trevor Bauer because he's a freaking asshole, and then they just go and get Max Scherzer, and on top of it, Trey Turner, who ends up winning the batting championship.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
The Dodgers are fine-tuning a World Series
every
team.
year.
Every year for the last fucking 7 years, they've been fine-tuning a World Series team.
And then he did the smart spending thing. I've said this quite a bit. We have the resources to spend. We certainly will spend, but we want to do it in the most intelligent fashion possible. Free agency presents itself with a lot of opportunity to bring in talent, but it also brings tremendous risk when you're talking about really long deals and players on the wrong side of the aging curve. That sounds like they're not doing a Correa. They're not doing a Seager. They're not even doing a Javi unless they can bring Rizzo in on a 2-year deal or something. I feel like they're not doing anything. They're not going to pick up any of these big names. Nobody with a WAR above 2. You know what I mean? It just feels like he's lowering our expectations with this spend intelligently thing. It's like, kids, we're getting a Volvo. You know what I mean? We're not getting a Corvette, kids. We're getting a minivan.
We've said this for a long time, and we compared it to buying generic cereal and stuff like that. This was never going to be a team that was going to be getting the big players, and that's how many times have you heard the Cubs name brought up? That was, like I said, again, not talking about beat writers nationally, as far as their names being thrown in for anybody.
You heard a little noise around Correa and Seager, but I
never heard the Cubs.
No. Cubs, not beat writers necessarily, but you heard a little noise, like Brett Taylor was writing stuff, and Evan then was writing stuff over at Cubs Insider, just like, why? Oh, the Cubs there's where there's smoke, there might be fire, blah, blah, blah. Those kind of, now these could all just be clickbaity articles so that they can make some money, which I think is what it is, but you don't hear any serious things. But then again, do you hear any serious things from anybody?
I've been hearing a lot of serious things. Here's one right here. John Heyman, Yankees and Dodgers are both playing for star shortstop Seager for the big free agent. This tandem of marquee teams is like the holy grail.
But there was a mystery team or something too.
No, there was no mystery team. No,
I heard there was a mystery team. I mean,
no, somebody said it would be. Brett said it would be more fun if there was a mystery team.
Oh, okay, all right.
Instead of the 2 big teams. But the point being is, I see a lot of people associated with I've heard the Blue Jays kicked around. The Mets always get kicked around, but they never get anything. You hear about all sorts of teams that are in on somebody. I have not seen a major respected baseball writer. When you talk about Brett, or you talk about Evan, or even the guys, just the beat writers that we have, whether it's Gordo or, Patrick or Sahadev, whoever, they're going to write stuff because, yes, they don't just sit there and they have to produce stuff, but there's nobody that's really like, hey, yeah, Cubs looking real good at Kyle Seager, Cubs looking at Correa. All we had was, I remember what you're talking about. It was Correa said he loves Wrigley. Like it was just generic. There was nothing tying him, nothing, no smoke.
And it wasn't even like after the season or anything like that. It was just like a random weekend where he was able to get an interview, and then like 3 weeks later he had a story about it. Like it wasn't up to date. It wasn't like all of a sudden Correa's like, I really want to go here.
Well, the thing is, they've got a shit ton of money to spend. They've got to spend it on somebody. I thought it was funny. Doug Glanville tweeted out just the other day. This is pretty funny. He tweeted, "I'm a little concerned about the Cubs infield depth chart here. Are they cloning?" And it's second base Sergio Alcantara, third base Sergio Alcantara, shortstop Sergio Alcantara. It's like they'd have to get somebody. So why not? What? There's like 5 elite shortstops out there.
I'm saying
sign one. You know what I mean?
I'm saying congratulations, Sergio Alcantara. He's going to make 3 paychecks this year.
Here's what people aren't realizing here is that what the Cubs did is they got their core together. Theo and Jed did. They got core, and then they made the big free agent signing, which was John Lester. They had a very deep history with John Lester, and they had a lot of history with Joe Madden when they signed him too. They were interviewing him for the Boston job that they eventually gave to Terry Francona, but there was a lot of history. Okay, so now you have Jed, and you're let's say a free agent. Even if you're one of those guys going for a prove it deal, do you want to do a prove it deal with a team that really has aspirations to make the postseason, legitimate aspirations? Because this is your contract. If you're on one of those 1-year prove it deals, that's what it really is. It's 1 year to do something. So if nobody's on base for you, if you have a team that's always losing, how great is that going to look? Imagine, you know what I mean?
But also, if you have a team that has 1 player at 3 positions, you're going to get to play every day. I mean, if you want that prove it deal, you play on a shitty team because you might actually look better because the rest of the team blows. And if you can actually put something together, you can just do it for yourself on a shit team versus going to the Dodgers where you're going to be outshone everywhere else.
You might even play at AAA. Like, you might be just like AAA depth so you can get to the major league.
The Cubs are a perfect spot for prove it guys.
You got the Dodgers and you got the Angels who are stock full of talent. But there are other teams,
and they're on the opposite ends of that winning spectrum, which is amazing.
And you have the Astros and the Dodgers, and that are just absolutely full of talent. But think about it. You could go to Atlanta. Atlanta just signed a bunch of guys for basically a prove it half year. You have teams like the Blue Jays that could be going for it that could still need some very valuable parts. So if you're on a team that's completely loaded, it's a lot tougher, but there are other teams, even Milwaukee. Corbin Burns wins the Cy Young Award tonight. Okay, you got to imagine that they're going to try to make another run at it this year again, and they need hitting more than anything. So why wouldn't you go to Milwaukee, over the Cubs if you had to choose?
If you have the option, right? If you have the option to be the starting whatever position for the Brewers versus the starting position for the Cubs, then of course, yes, you take the Brewers because they're more set up to go into the playoffs. But if you don't have that Brewers deal going there, or the Brewers have somebody in your spot and they're like, we'll bring you in, you'll be you'll be playing off the bench or you'll be platooning with somebody, then you're going to take the Cubs job because you want to fucking play every day if you're trying to prove it.
Well, that's
Jock Peterson last year.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. And then he goes on and, wears his pearls to the World Series, and it's just like
gets idiots asking him, hey, Jock, what's that pearl necklace all about?
Yeah.
and he's got to lie to him.
Well, and I saw, I don't know who put it into this brand is Chris Taylor.
Yeah, so that is when we start talking about, because the only Cubs to talk about are ex-Cubs. Yeah. And in that, so that I put that in there to compare him against Chris Bryant because that was the name thrown in versus Chris Bryant.
Right. Well, here's the thing. I mean, Chris Taylor is a is a fine ball player. But I could see them doing somebody like him. If they were, he's not going to cost as much as all those other guys. Is basically what I'm saying. Like all the big name shortstops, he's not going to cost as much as them. He's already 30, and he had he's a good player. He's 110 OPS plus last year, stuff like that. But I could totally see them like going for somebody like that. Just be like, hey, we're putting something together for the future, but we're not going to get like the big number guy. I mean, he's going to cost you money, but he's also a versatile player. He plays in the infield, plays in the outfield. So anyway, but let's move on to a little bit more Cubs news. The Cubs got a new assistant pitching coach, and his name is Daniel Moscas. And here's the press release. Cubs named Daniel Moscas team's assistant pitching coach, which they didn't have before. I basically is going to be a new Borzello. Moscas, 35, joins the organization. So young. He's almost the same age as all the Cubs rookies. Joins the organization following 2 seasons as a minor league pitching coach in the Yankees farm system, including last season with Double-A Somerset, in which he helped the Patriots to a 3.38 ERA, team ERA, 1.16 WHIP, not too shabby, and a 2.12 opponent batting average, all lowest among Double-A clubs. So nice work, Daniel Moscas. And
and since he's the same age as all the Cubs rookies, there's a good chance he gets in there, right? Like he becomes, a late season addition throwing out of the bullpen.
Yeah, I mean, why not? He's younger than a lot of pitchers in the major leagues, and he's a coach. But he's a driveline guy. He's a lefty. He played for the Pirates. He actually got signed minor league deal by the Cubs at some point, and he, won a couple of awards. Anyway, he's got a lot of different experience. He takes over, and he seems really excited about everything. He said, I fell in love with the Cubs' philosophy on development and kind of the holistic approach to pitching or onto development. It's about knowing the biomechanics side of things, the pitch package side of things, the strength side of things, and the throwing program. So, he likes what the Cubs are doing in the pitch lab, and I don't know. You get any opinions here on this guy? It's just new.
New. I just love the name. We texted about it earlier that, we can now call the bullpen the Mosketeers. We can have all sorts of fun with, CUBBIEMOSKO, Mosketeers.
I believe
we'll sing to him.
I believe that the Cubs are feeling good about their pitching development staff. It's just the whole hitting thing is really what they're concerned about right now.
Yeah, and they got all new pitch, and they got all new hitting coach. I mean, we've seen a lot of churn, which you expect with the new general manager, and it's on. You got kind of a new, even though he'll be entering his 3rd season with David Ross, kind of a new manager. There's like a whole new scene. Borzello gone. He's a long time coach with the team, was in a lot of all the regimes. It feels like they're really doing the churn right now, which makes me think that they will also not be in the process of competing next year because they're still in the process of getting their shit together, even getting their program.
But they've been in the process of getting their shit together for the last 6 or 7 years. I was, listening to Cubs talk, and they brought this up about the hitting coaches. If you add in the assistant hitting coaches, they've had like 12 hitting coaches since since Theo came in or something like that. Some crazy number. Like 12 different fucking coaches coming through there, and I don't know. I guess it's not the coaches. It's obviously not the hitting coaches because none of it has helped them.
Yeah, I mean, all the churn makes me think that there's something wrong at the top. You know what I mean? That it's like if you've got this constant every year, you got new guys now. Maybe they finally hit on it and they get it, but it feels college of coaches to me. Like you just got too many voices coming at these guys over and over and over again. maybe this guy will work, but I mean, what letting Borzy go was a little bit of a shock. But if because you really don't have too much. Well, now you got even nobody on the team that knows each other. Everybody's new except.
Well,
for
I mean, I think
Wilson.
the Borzello thing. I was confused about it, but I wonder how much that has to do with Ross wanting to kind of have some of his own guys on the staff. And you remember, this is something we talked about with Joe and all those guys that got fired after 2017. So I'm wondering how much like that, because Ross doesn't really have like, a staff that was his, that he picked out. You know what I mean? He, as a young coach, as a new coach, they basically handed him a staff. And I wonder if like, this is kind of one of those moves. I know Lester Strode getting rid of him was one of Ross's moves. And it wouldn't surprise me if Borzello is another one.
Yeah. And Carter Hawkins wants to make a name for himself too and bring in new people. Dan Kantrovitz is somewhat new, so it's all just like, all right, well, maybe this all works, but these guys are all pretty young. They have experience, but they're young. 35 is young to be a coach. Tommy Hotovy is a very young coach.
He was only like 36 or 37 when he first became a coach like 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah.
The thing that you kind of look at here, when I'm kind of looking at all this stuff, though, is that the Cubs during the Theo era had a lot of brain drain. Do you get what I'm saying? Where everyone was looking at the Cubs as the team that were on top of it, in front of everything. And so a lot of guys, maybe guys that aren't in front of the camera like Theo and Jed, were getting jobs elsewhere. And when you lose the amount of talent that the Cubs have lost, and a lot of those guys have gone on to other better, higher positions. John Baker, friend of the show, John Baker, Eric Hinsky. You go down the list, there's a lot of guys that the Cubs had, and other guys, like I said, that are not even more noticeable on the field, that were in the front office, that they lost to higher positions. There's one guy that went to Milwaukee, I forget, but I swear to God, once that guy went to Milwaukee, I swear he spilled all the beans on the Cubs players, and Milwaukee had their number.
Wasn't it?
No, it was a front office guy. I can't remember who, but I swear to God, that's what happened.
So, well, anyway, everybody's new. 2016 is feeling further and further away as we get to it. So now we're going to have a quick word from our sponsor right now, us and our T-shirts, Sun Ranto Swag. Check it out.
Do you like having sex? Me too. That's why I always wear my Sun Ranto swag shirts every time I'm looking to get some. It's the only t-shirt guaranteed to get you laid. Knock boots in your shankless shirt. Bump uglies in a ranter long sleeve. Ride the skin-busted Tuna Town in a Dabbing Cubes fan shirt. Take gold one-eye to the optometrist in your bull penis awesome attire, or smash pissers in a spagog shirt. Sun Ranto swag shirts are just like people. There are many different sizes and colors to choose from. Plus, at Sun Ranto's swag store, you'll find vintage John Baker Day, designated hater, and Matt Cameron drawn rally titty designs on everything from shirts and hoodies to baby onesies, bags, and hats. Go to sunranto.com/swag and check out all the sexy styles guaranteed to get you laid. You'll be stuffing the soft taco in no time. sunranto.com/swag, guaranteed to get you laid.
Wearing Sun Ranto swag products not guaranteed to get you laid. Sun Ranto swag is not responsible for your sex life. Sun Ranto swag is for entertainment purposes only.
So good news, the Giants are not going to sign Chris Bryant. So there's another free agent that the Cubs maybe could possibly bring back. No, we all know it's not going to happen.
Apparently people are thinking that he might go to Seattle of all places. I don't.
He should. Everybody will ignore him there. He'll do great. But the Baggerly from the Giants, he came out and said, and to be honest, I think that their evaluations of him, Chris, and just my own evaluations of him were not super impressed. The guy is really good. He's definitely a solidly above average major leaguer. His swing is very athletic. I don't know if it's a swing that's necessarily going to age as well as maybe some others that are out there. Defensively, I don't think he's a plus anywhere on the field. His versatility is huge and absolutely matches what they've they value as an organization. But third base was rough. He made a lot of bad throws, and in the outfield, he didn't look really comfortable either in center or right. So I would say it's probably not super likely that he comes back. And Andrew is a beat writer for the Giants, so this is obviously, Evan Altman wrote about this. We were texting about it. This is obviously some gamesmanship in order to pay Chris Bryant less and drive his price down, correct?
I don't know.
You think they really feel this way about him?
So that's what I was looking at. I was like, oh, it seems somewhat surprising. But if you look at his numbers, and I brought him up here, when he went to San Francisco, his numbers all dropped. Not a ton, but a little bit, from 267 batting average to 262, 358 OBP to 344, 503 slugging to 444, 861 OPS down to 788. So that right there is good, but it's not superstar good. You know what I mean? Now, so he had all of those numbers going for him at Wrigley, and of course his career numbers look really good, but they were in that article. So I looked at SF Gate as well. They talked about it. It's a San Francisco website talking to Baggerly, and there was a thing out there talking about how they could get Chris Taylor from the Dodgers for similar production, a similar player. Now, that's where I'm like, okay, so what's Chris Taylor at? Well, his season was basically what Bryant did at in San Francisco, a little worse. 254 batting average, 344 OBP, 438. Oh, no, sorry. Yeah, 438 slugging, a 782 OPS, right? His OPS plus was 110, KB's was 113. And they're looking at a guy like Chris Taylor, who is, let's face it, he's not a Chris Bryant. He's not a name. They could get him for a year and pay way less than they would Chris Bryant, and then they get to have a guy they could maybe get before they start doing negotiations and stuff, and they don't have to wait. When I saw that, I was like, okay, I could see that, because honestly, we've talked about it a long time. Chris Bryant is a superstar on paper, but we watch him all the time. He's not any of our favorite players, right? Like, when we watch the eye test, everything that we see, he doesn't strike me as the superstar. And then you look at his numbers and you're like, that's surprising. The numbers look way better.
I would say I like Chris Bryant. He was one of my favorite players. I think
okay, Crawley, yes. He's one of the core. He's one of the guys.
But if you remember, when we talked about the three guys to potentially sign, I said we signed Chris Bryant. That was my decision that I made when it was Bryant, Rizzo, and Bias. And so I would say that there could be a lot of gamesmanship driving down the price. Also, they probably don't want him to end up with the Dodgers, who have Justin Turner leaving, so leaving a hole in third base potentially. I would say that when you have a player of Chris Bryant's magnitude, it hasn't been Mike Trout-esque, and that's what we expected. And that's a fucking high bar that you're setting when everybody thinks he is Cubs Jesus. No offense to Cubs Jesus. But it is an extremely high bar that you're setting there. And when you do that, you kind of sometimes miss that he's a damn good player. Kind of like the Ramos Ramirez situation, where so many people for so long bitched about Ramirez. And then when it was all said and done, damn, that guy had a really great career as a Chicago Cub. So when I think about Chris Bryant, you look at what happened with Bryce Harper. He went to Phillies. Did he really look like a superstar to anybody with the Phillies for a couple of years?
Well, not right away, but he had a really good year last year.
Right. That's my point, is that to me, Chris Bryant could have another one of those years.
He definitely has it in him. Like, listen, Chris Bryant was like a 7-WAR player in 2016. or something like that. He was absolutely incredible. But since he got injured, it's all been downhill. He used to also only play third base for the most part, maybe a little left field when Madden would throw him out there. But now he's all over the place. He's playing first, he's playing right, he's playing center. Like this is they've turned this guy into a Swiss Army knife, which now everybody in San Francisco is saying it's not looking that good. I agree. Like, John Pickus writes in, KB hasn't been a plus defender since 16. Yeah, that's true. I don't think he was ever known as a defensive guy. Remember, everybody kept saying that he should move off third base because he was too tall.
Yeah, he was too big for third base.
He's too tall to bend over. He can't get down there. It takes him too long. But, it's like, Chris Bryant is going to get paid this offseason by somebody. No doubt in my mind, because he is that valuable. I think this is 100% gamesmanship on the part of San Francisco, and I don't think that that's going to work. Why would Chris Bryant then come back to your organization after you freaking badmouth them through your press channels? What does this guy have to do? Like, Cubs, we badmouth him. Cubs fans badmouth him. We badmouth his dad. Why would he come back to Chicago too? So Chris Bryant is like the most talented guy that goes around and gets shit on by everywhere he goes. That's why he's going to end up in Seattle, because they're just going to be nice and nobody's going to notice that he's even up there. I forget they have a team sometimes.
And Danny, tell me one other player that would be considered the higher echelon player that's asked to do everything he's asked like that without complaining, without being a problem, playing every goddamn position.
He is a great person. He's a wonderful person. He puts up numbers. The numbers are amazing. Whenever I look at the thing that I just showed you, that graphic, I'm always like, good God, Chris Bryant's great. And then when I watch baseball games, I'm like, all right, I like Chris Bryant.
He's solid. He's a solid player.
Yes,
he's not
solid.
The superstar we wanted, but
again, don't know what you got. Would I want him back? I take him back. I honestly, here's why I wouldn't. And let me just say why I wouldn't is because I think that there's just so much baggage with it that it just doesn't work. You know what I mean? At this point, there's a time where you got to move on. And I think that we have now gotten to that point. If you would have told me we re-signed him, that's what I wanted the Cubs to do, was to re-sign Chris Bryant. But now after this and all the other bullshit, it's just like, you know what? I just don't think – I think that that's not something that can really be fixed. And if it is, it's going to just cause way more problems. You saw what a fucking disaster the Jake Arrieta situation, obviously different, older guy, injuries, etc.
Yeah.
But I just think that at this point in time, it's best for both parties to kind of do something else. I would have loved the Cubs to have signed him to a long-term extension.
Yeah. I wanted an extension as well. And what we have right now is Patrick Wisdom over there at third. And would I rather have Chris Bryant than Patrick Wisdom? 110%. I would dump Wisdom in a heartbeat for Chris Bryant. And I was like you, Crawley. I was in favor of giving him the money, but for whatever reason, the teams aren't giving him what he wants, apparently. They're a little nervous about all that. And I have seen some pretty low numbers for him, but I've seen low numbers for everybody.
Everybody. Baez, they were like 80 million, 3 years, or 4 years. I'm like, what average, but all these guys that want more. And, and we'll talk about it in a second. So I want to talk about like some of the negotiations that are getting going, because some players are coming off the board, but it dawned on me today, and we kind of knew this. Like John Lester said that when he got traded from Boston over to Oakland that one year, that he never thought that he would play for anybody else but Boston. But what made him come to the Cubs and consider going to a different team was like, oh, I can do this. I'm playing on Oakland. That's fine. I want Oakland to win, and I think the mistake that the Cubs made by not locking up any of those core guys is that, like Crawley, you just said, once they're gone, they're gone. Too much baggage. You got traded. You had to go through all those rumors. There's, too much going on. And that goes for all the guys. Rizzo, Javi, all of them. And
did you guys see the other day Rizzo's walk for cancer, the charity walk that he was doing, all dressed in Yankees gear?
Yeah.
Free agent. Not on the team technically anymore, but what gear is he wearing?
Yeah, he wants
Well,
to be back
he
in New
also,
York.
yeah, but he also knows, you know, that's probably his best shot for money is the Yankees,
Yeah. Yeah, somebody that's willing to spend on first baseman, but you got to also Freddie Freeman goes unsigned. I mean, you'd think that maybe the Braves had some interest in bringing him back, but after just winning the World Series with him, for God's sakes. But it's and everybody, and let's get into like this negotiations because I find it interesting because of the lockout that's impending on December 1st, only a couple weeks away. The free agents have to think this: either I sign by December 1st and figure out where I'm going to live next year, or I got to wait to this possibly, like everybody's predicting that's going to take all the way till February. Then there's going to be this shortened spring training and this frenzied signing period, where everybody's going to find a new team that's a free agent in like 2 weeks so that they can go to spring training with the team. That's going to happen real fast after the CBA finally gets worked out, if it gets worked out. So, so it's kind of interesting. And it brought up some ideas about, how like the NBA has like that, like free agent signing period. They could do that in the winter meetings. They could be part of the winter meetings every year, whereas everybody's got to sign within this finite 2-week period. Otherwise, maybe you have holdouts, maybe things, but mostly the rules apply this way. And then you have another maybe right before the season, so the guys that didn't get picked up or something, but wouldn't that be more exciting if there was just like a hot stove 2-week period, like the trade deadline or something?
Wouldn't it be more exciting if teams would actually just, pay players that make them shit tons of money and not fucking play these goddamn stupid games all the time? Because, they're going to make $1.2 billion instead of $1.3 billion. Like, motherfucker, just pay these players. You know who you want. I've heard Gordon Whitmire say, you're the Chicago Cubs. You're a big market team. You got all the fucking money in the world. You know who you want. They know. They already know. Why are we fucking waiting for the CBA to find out what's going on? Because we might be able to save that 1.3 to 1.2 bullshit. Fucking get your players, win some goddamn games.
They're not getting any players.
But this is what I'm saying. They already know who they need. The CBA isn't going to change who they want. You know what I mean? They should just go get the fuck who they want, like the Dodgers.
It could change, especially if you think like today. Corey Furlong brings up today was the final day for qualifying offers. The only one that took it was Brandon Belt. And, what if the qualifying offer rule changes? I don't know if that would apply to the current qualifying offer guys, but that would
there's no way in hell the union's going to let that apply to these guys. It'll go into effect next year.
Maybe.
Well, with the next CBA.
I'm saying like Nick Castellanos is tied to a qualifying offer, correct?
Right.
So, let's say the qualifying offer rule changes, and now you go get Nick Castellanos now. I mean, would it apply? I don't know if it would apply retroactively.
No, it doesn't go retroactive. No,
it
does not go retroactive.
That retroactive is backwards. We're talking forwards. And
right.
No, it would totally be, you would have to start it in 2023 because the 2022 season, those rules, if you signed him, those rules are already in place for these teams. If you take that away from the teams in the middle of the off season, they're going to be pissed about that. They're not going to let that happen.
Right. That's what I'm saying. In the future, you can't go back and say, we're going back to that rule for this. It's going to be moving forward is everything that's going to happen.
Well, either way, they are waiting. I know that our friend Michael Cerami wrote about it on Bleacher Nation saying that it is a position of strength to have a shit ton of money that you can spend and wait till you figure out what the next rules are going to be, because it's true. Like, you might want to play it a little bit differently as you retool,
you might want to play it a little bit differently. My point is they know who they want. If they want Carlos Correa, that doesn't change because the fucking rules change. Carlos Correa is still the guy that they want. Can they save a little bit of money or do a little something if they get him in March rather than in November? Possibly. But again, it doesn't change the players you want. And if you really want them, because those rules are going to
They
change for
don't
everybody.
want them. They don't want anybody.
That's not what I'm. I'm
think-
saying they know who the fuck they want. If they don't want fucking Carlos Correa, fine. They want fucking Joe fucking Snuffy. Who gives a shit? That's not the point, Danny. The person's not the point. The point is they already know
can
the
do what
player
they want.
like. And if they like a player, they have the money
Well,
to
they
fucking get him
overpay.
now, regardless of anything the fucking rules ever do. They can get him. And they aren't doing it because they're going to fucking try and nickel and dime this bullshit as much as they can. And that's
the issue that I read about today with the Yankees, and this was from Hank Steinbrenner talking, is that even Hank Steinbrenner was in agreement that the luxury tax has to be lowered. And so this is going to be the fight that you're going to see. And that's kind of the concern is yes, you can spend the money if you want. Absolutely. There's nobody bigger than the Yankees when it comes to spending. That's why they put half these fucking rules in place is because of George Steinbrenner. No doubt that. But when you're talking about what the owners are looking at in their position, they want the luxury tax lower than what it already is. And so if you take,
but the union doesn't want that. And that's why we're not going to have baseball in 2022. The baseball's going to be fucking done because of that rule right there. Well, they want it lowered and the union's going to say, fucking no way.
Yeah, they want it low. Not only do they want the luxury tax lowered, but they want free agency to begin at 29.5 instead of, the current years, have it, be about years. And then they also want to determine salary based upon FWAR, Fangraphs WAR, which they got some, metric where.
They want the arbitration to not be an arbitration anymore. It's
just taking away all bargaining points of leverage. So they're just so far apart right now at that.
And what the players want, and this is where they may give on the luxury tax, is the players want a minimum spending threshold. And so some teams may say, hey, you know what? Yeah, you can lower the luxury tax by say 30 million, hypothetically speaking, but every team must spend X amount of dollars, in which that would help, especially a lot of the middle and lower tier players, if you have to spend the money. So that's something to look at negotiations, is that you got teams like Pittsburgh that are spending $500,000 on a team. You know what I mean? It's well, shit.
And they're taking that money from the luxury tax.
Correct.
That gets redistributed out to them because a team like the Dodgers is, interested in actually fucking winning championships.
So that may be somewhere where they do kind of find some common ground where they say, we'll lower the luxury tax, but hey, if you want to be a baseball owner, you got to fucking spend some money. There's no fucking sitting there because everybody gets a cut of the TV money. Everybody gets a cut of the MLB merchandise money. And so I think that there is a lot of anger between the big market owners and the small market owners being like, look, we understand you don't have the same amount of money to spend as we do, quote unquote, but you got to spend something. This is fucking ridiculous. There have been some teams that have been embarrassingly low with their payrolls.
Yeah. Oh, well, the Indians last year, or the now Guardians, 50 million, Orioles 53, Pirates were 54, Marlins 58, the Rays, who do wonders with 70. I mean, and the Seattle Mariners were in the hunt too, and at 83 million. So it's just if they're finding, and you saw what Jed just said about the Braves. They're like, hey, look, we don't really need that much. We can just, just kind of thread the needle. Maybe we'll get another good year out of Ortega. That's what they're preparing us for. And I feel like if it were up to the MLB owners, there would not be stars in the game of baseball. Everybody would just be like a slightly above replacement level player, and they would all win 80. A good season would be winning 85 games, and nobody ever would be like the Dodgers and blow through the payroll and spend $275 million. Like you said, they made those rules for George Steinbrenner because they were like, hey, George, you're making us look bad. Like, Cub fans are looking at the Yankees being like, why not us? Spend some money, guys. We're out here in the bleachers drinking $10 beers. What gives, So
Yeah, and that's, I mean, the owners do like what you're talking about. They don't want stars. They want you buying Cubs gear, not Chris Bryant gear. They don't want Rizzo jerseys. They want Cubs jerseys that have a 44 on them. Like, that's what they want. You know what I mean? Because and you can tell by the way that they market their players or absolutely do not market their players. You know what I mean? How often did you see Shohei Ohtani this year outside of actually looking to find him or it being a news story?
Yeah,
like, is he doing Nike commercials?
Everybody goes on the Angels somehow. Like,
is he doing Gatorade? He had the fucking greatest season of like all time.
Yeah.
And there's people who may not even know who he is because the league doesn't even try to market their players because that's not what they're interested in. They're interested in team money, not player money.
Carly, give me a prediction when the season starts. Like, do you think there's going to be
I think the CBA gets settled by mid-February. So I think they're going to have to condense everything a little bit. They're going to have to condense spring training. They're going to have to condense the season a little bit. But I do think that there will be baseball in 2022. Tom talked about biblical losses, and again, there was that revenue that wasn't coming in during the COVID season, and even this year they had restricted seats for half the season, pretty much. And so to sit there and not play for a whole nother year would just, that is insanity. You just can't do that. I don't think anybody wants to do it. I think that the scenario I talked about lowering the luxury tax, but raising the minimum amount per payroll per team is where deals are made. I think there's going to be expanded playoffs. I think there's going to be a DH in the NL.
These are my nightmares. Are you in my head when I sleep? You're just fucking rattling off every shitty dream that I have every night. I wake up in a fucking cold sweat going, a 78 win team fucking made it into the playoffs with the goddamn DH fucking bullshit. Like,
and a bunch of openers and just like a bunch of
they got rid of the fucking
pitchers.
divisions.
Yeah.
The Cubs and the White Sox are now playing each other 47 times a year.
Red Sox, man. Yankees on every Sunday night. Joe Buck's wet dream. So here's another commercial. Sunranto.com/shopping. If you're like most Americans, you buy shit. Lots of shit. Sometimes you buy shit for other people. Sometimes you buy shit for yourself. And sometimes you buy shit you have to buy just to stay alive. So why not buy shit through the Sunranto affiliate? Links at sunranto.com/shopping. We've got tons of shit you can buy. Go to sunranto.com, click on the shopping link, then click our ads and buy shit. We've got Amazon. They've got tons of shit. But you can also buy MLB shit, NBA shit, NFL shit, Fans Ed shit, Southwest Airlines shit, Fanatic shit, Reebok shit, Wine of the Month shit, Beer of the Month shit, Bear Mattress shit, StubHub shit, Lid shit, Sports Memorabilia shit, Volcanica coffee shit, Vibrator shit, Condom shit, Bag shit, NHL shit, and Audible membership shit. There's a whole lot of shit that can help the Sunranto Show stay on the air so we can keep talking shit. So buy shit today through sunranto.com/shopping. Thanks. Cubs Jesus thinks you're the shit. Well, Patrick Wisdom's officially not the Rookie of the Year. I don't think any of us were expecting it, even though he did break KB's home run record. And Jonathan India, the mega, he won it, and he did have a pretty darn good year.
I don't know if you remember when we did that show with the guys from the Reds at the beginning of the season.
Yeah,
when I was out in spring training, I went to the Reds facility, watched the Cubs play, and every time India was like, he was just so noticeable. I'm like, who the hell is Jonathan India? Man, that guy is something. And sure as shit, he had one hell of a year, and he's a great player.
Yeah, he's going to be a thorn in our side for some
Oh.
time now. And Schwindel actually got some votes, which I thought was fun for him.
Right.
Curly's face. You look like you
What?
just ate a sour lemon.
I didn't look. Did it say how many votes that Wisdom and Schwindel got?
I don't know.
I think Schwindel got like a couple like third place votes, Wisdom got a couple third place votes.
Well, I think we write the story and tell the story that Schwindel and Wisdom split the vote. They were actually both better than India, and India wins because they split the
India
Cubs
won
vote.
because he's probably better than both of them put together. That's probably the thing.
And
he's
half their age.
Half their age, exactly. One annoying thing with the awards is that the Cardinals won all the Gold Gloves. They got 5 of them, and Yachty was not among them, which I found kind of fun. Gabe Kapler, Manager of the Year for bringing the Giants out of nowhere to take it. That made sense.
Couldn't have happened to a better guy.
Yeah, and then David Ross actually got a couple of votes. So
let me ask you a question. Who the fuck voted for David Ross for Manager of the Year, and Frank Schwindel for that matter? But
his mom.
It's the same people. It's the exact same people.
Same exact people. It's freaking Gordon Whitmire. Just
Gordon
fucking-
would not do that, dude.
It is 100% not Gordo.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know who it was. We'll blame Gordo just for fun. But
it's like Hall of Fame voting. I think you should have to, if you're gonna sit there and like not vote for Derek Jeter because he was the first ballot because nobody ever if you're gonna make a stupid fucking vote, own it.
Yeah.
Then maybe you won't make as many stupid votes.
Yeah, well, Michael, you just brought up the idea that MLB markets its players very poorly. Not only do they market that poorly, they market like their award season really poorly. It's like I think they announced the Rookie of the Year on Sunday at 6, right during big football games, and you're like, dude, nobody's watching and paying attention to MLB. What they should have is an award show like the Tony Awards or something, or the Grammys, where all the players come and they rent out a hall and they go to Los Angeles and they put it on TV and they do all night and you get old guys to make speeches like a Cubs convention thing, make a big show and they show highlights and they talk about the year. They get up on all the awards and they get up and they make a speech and we get to see these guys. But instead they put it out in what today was Wednesday at 6. We're going to tell you who won the Cy Young Award. People are driving home from work. They're they get, and then it comes out. They only put it on MLB Network. So it's not even a national thing you can even watch unless you got that channel. It's God, it drives me nuts.
Insane. And, if only there were, I don't know, a couple of days a week that there wasn't football. If there was just a time that they could schedule it.
Yeah, every other day but Sunday, pretty much. So anyway, I just wanted to get that off my chest. And then the other thing I saw this week that kind of had Cubs World a buzzing. I know Crawley noticed this, is that it was Sammy Sosa's birthday. And they said, Marquis tweeted out and said, hopping into the weekend. And, a lot of Cub fans were like, hey, man, you can't use Sammy Sosa to promote your Marquee Network channel and then not invite him to anything ever because he's got to apologize to Tom Ricketts. But I liked what Michael Irpino said to Watch Marquee. He just went right to the point. He goes, fuck you. Bring him home or stop sharing content of him. Can't have both, you scumbags. I'm like, well, that escalated real quickly.
His Twitter handle was shame on you forever.
Oh yeah, I guess that's what he does. Just goes around telling people that they're fucking wrong about shit. But I kind of agree with that. I mean, it was a little weird. I mean, I know, Carl, you and I had a little interchange about it on Twitter. I said, well, maybe it was like an intern that tweeted that out and they weren't really aware of the situation with Sammy Sosa. And, now they're going to get a reprimand or, what do you think? I mean, do you think that this is a prelude to bringing it back or is this?
So I have seen it, and this is not just this thing right now. You see it at the Cubs game too, where they do in between the innings. on the scoreboard, they'll be like, dun, 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 Legends of the Game. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
this whole, and they'll do like a montage. And they've done them on Sammy before. I've seen it there. I've seen it on Marquee. I've seen it everywhere. They still want to make money off them. They just don't want them showing up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, the thing is, how surprised would you be if there was a single person working at Marquee that just didn't know everything there is to know about the Cubs? I mean, the Marquee Network is the end-all be-all encyclopedia of knowledge about the Cubs.
Well,
So-
and women's volleyball, apparently. So yeah, that was on the other day at the gym, the Marquee Network. I was watching like some no-name school against another no-name school. I'm like, you can't even put schools on that I've heard of. Jesus. Yeah. Anyway, I think they should bring it back. Obviously, we've talked about that a bunch, but you know, I do have some sympathy for the fans that don't. You know, the cheating, the cork bat, the domestic violence accusation against him, that charges were dropped for that, but still, you know, we all kind of know that that's bullshit. But, you know, I don't know. So but I definitely would want him back. I think that was a different era. I think a lot of guys were doing steroids. The cork bat is actually more annoying than the steroids to me for some reason, because it's, you know, seems a little bit more purposeful and like, you're getting an edge over other people. I don't know. But I thought that was funny. So let's get into some announcements and we'll end the show. And we're going to meet you afterwards for our post show on the Spotify Green Room app, which was just updated by Spotify. So hopefully it works a lot better than it has been working. I can actually bring you guys into the conversation. But December 11th, Cubs caroling. We're meeting at G-Man at 5 p.m. We're all going to go around. We're going to sing songs and have a good time, go bar hopping. I saw that the Chris Kindle Market is opening at Wrigley on Friday. So that should be happening. Hopefully we get good weather for it, that we could sing at the ice skating rink. We could run around Wrigley and do it. And Cubs caroling is back, people. Only took 1 year off. I'm excited as hell. I know a lot of people plan on showing up.
I tell people it was one of the most fun events of the season every year.
Yeah, no, I love it. It's like all my favorite things: drinking, singing, and Cubs fans.
Yeah, there you go.
And so Cubs caroling contest is still going. Put your Cubs carol parodies up on the Sun Ranto Ranters page. We got a couple this week from John Jurgovan. Very impressed with his "So This Is Christmas" parody. I don't know if you guys saw that yet, but
I did, and he's a wizard with video and having himself back himself up on that video. It was beautiful.
It's awesome. So check that out. And also Bill Suggis put up one, very funny stuff. And the 12 days of Cubsmas is what he put up, and very funny stuff. And so get them in, because there is a Ronnie Woo Woo bobblehead going to be given away. And you do not want to not try to win that. Let me tell you. And then the other thing that happened too is our good friend Matt Kammerer. He's all his artwork is sitting right behind me right now. If you're watching on the video feed as we speak, he has an imposter. This guy's another Cubs artist, and his name is Josh Trout, and he is basically ripping off Matt Kammerer. So anyway, I think we should all troll him. He tweeted this out. And this is his Mike Trout over the city of Anaheim. He's drawing on maps. He's done like 6 of them. He calls them his map series. And here's Matt Kammerer's Mike Trout. I mean, it's just like, and so I tweeted to the guy because I wanted to, his name is J Trout Paintings. I tweeted the guy, I go, I thought you had already done a Mike Trout. Isn't this it? And I put a picture of Mike Trout, Matt Kammerer's Mike Trout. And of course, the guy, he finally gets back to me. He goes, it's ignorant to assume he's the only one that can do a certain type of art. Like thinking with your, what would you call that emoji? Grabbing your
thinking
chin.
Emoji. Yeah.
Thinking, I'm a fan and support Matt's work. Yeah, by copying him. He has his way of doing things and I have mine. We have different looks and styles. And then he was like, hang loose sign. And I'm like, I'm going to write a song called Hey June. There's an awesome chorus at the end where everyone in the band sings la, 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 la together for 4 minutes straight. Like, I'm like, dude, like, look at these back to back. Come on. Like, what a ripoff. can you believe this guy now? And I agree with to a certain extent that you can be inspired by somebody's work, but give Matt some freaking credit, dude. Like, I hate that shit. The people that put out the fake obvious shirts too, when you got Joe's paying for the licensing and everything. Anyway, I was a little pissed off at that. So, Black Friday's coming up, and I think you guys should shop at Matt's store
And
Matt's Etsy store. Permanent paintings.
Yep.
On
Get
Etsy.
stuff from Matt. Use the Amazon link through the Sun Ranto page. Make sure you always go to the Sun Ranto page for all your awesome shopping needs.
Yeah, no shit. There's tons of stuff there. So yeah, I put the link to the Etsy Matt's Etsy shop in there. So anyway, go troll that guy. Fuck him. All right, TF season. We'll get out of here. Go over on Green Room. We're running a little late here, but that's okay. Good thing there's no clock in baseball yet. Not until after next CBA. So I'll go first. I guess. What did I do with mine? Go ahead. Somebody else go.
Okay. I have 3 real quick. They're all on the exact same thing, and I just couldn't put them in the same picture. But I found this on Reddit in the subreddit baseball. Ballparks by 1-star reviews. A guy, Sir Parsifal, has been doing these, and he hasn't made it to Wrigley yet. I was really looking forward to that. But he did guaranteed rate field. And these are Google reviews in which they give the field 1 star. And the first 2 I have here, hate this name. It will always be called the Comiscular Field. Stop selling out. And it's amazing for football fans only. I give it 1 star only because I hate football. So apparently, I don't know what stadium they think they're reviewing. Then this one here, all I have to say is that I was peed on in the bathroom at the urinating station. What's a urinating station? I don't know. I was also charged $8 for a hot dog. This is a terrible place for America's pastime. The team also lost. There is not enough energy, and a man there called me a hobknocker. I wish I could give the park 0 stars. And then Wrigley does finally come into it. I finished with this one. Wrigley Field is the heart of Chicago, while Comiskey Park is the gallbladder.
Crawley, did you write this? This sounds like your voice. It sounds like something you'd say about Comiscular Field.
The
Comiscular Field. I love it.
So Thom Brenneman is once again trying to have his little pity party by going to sympathetic media outlets to try to get his redemption tour starting, and it never really does. But I love the redemption story because it always has some great TFCs here. Inquirer Sports has an article about Thom. Former Red broadcaster Thom Brenneman. I'm not dying. I'm not sick. My kids aren't sick. My wife's not sick. But professionally, I'm very sick. And you know
I
what's coming.
I would
sports.
100% agree with him.
And Christian Hernandez Stan says, I'm not dying. I'm not sick. My kids aren't sick. My wife's not sick. But professionally, I'm very sick as there's a drive into deep left field by Castellanos. That'll be a home run. And so that'll make it a 4-0 ball game.
And I don't know if I'll ever put on this headset again.
I love it.
Never gets old.
That looks like the ones that you see in. He's accidentally self-aware how he finishes it. Professionally, I'm very sick.
Yeah.
That's why you got fired.
The article is funny because it's like he actually is addressing that. Like he brings up, like Nick Castellanos' wife said something like, stop doing the call because the man lost his job. And it's such a self-pity party. Fucking Thom Brenneman. I can't stand that bastard.
I hope he does never put the headset on again. He can just wasn't he calling games in Veracruz or something like that? Like he went down to Mexico trying to get himself back into it. All right. Mine is from Wilson Contreras, the Cubs catcher for at least one more year, hopefully. He just went on Twitter today and he said, blah, 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 yawning emoji. And I was like, you go, Wilson.
That's all of baseball dumb right now.
Yeah. In other words, he's not happy with the way maybe in negotiations. I mean, that's a lot of people reading a lot into that one. Why he would tweet that. is a mystery. But so there's our show. Go over to the Green Room app. Follow Son Ranto Show. We're going to be there right now. So we'll see you over there. Download it at your favorite app store that your phone makes you use. All right, here's a song called Hug Watch.
Hug watch, watching for hugs. All your favorite players getting traded from the Cubs. Hug watch, watching for hugs. All your favorite players getting traded from the Cubs. Hug watch, what do you got? We traded you, Darvish, but we didn't get a lot. Hey, Chris Bryant, I guess I'll see you later. We're filling up the system with a bunch of teenagers. Hug watch, watching for hugs. All your favorite players getting traded from the Cubs. We're saying sayonara to Dirty Craig. Until this year he had a 6 ERA. And Javi, guess it's time to say adios. You should've got extended with Castellanos. We're singing Hug Watch, watching for hugs. All your favorite players getting traded from the Cubs. Jock Peterson, we'd sure love to have you back, but now Jake Arrieta's gonna help you pack. Arriva, dirt sheet to Anthony Rizzo. Oh, why won't Tommy Ricketts pony up the dough? Hug watch, watching for hugs. All your favorite players getting traded from the Cubs. Andrew Chafin was the sheriff of Chicago town, but he's traded to the Padres, now he's wearing brown. Only got Wilson for one more year. I'm not sure where he'll be playing, but it won't be here. Hug watch, watching for hugs. All your favorite players getting traded from the Cubs. Hug watch, watching for hugs. All your favorite players getting traded from the Cubs.